It always worked as an opener, but I think one thing that we experimented like probably the most we've ever done with is the track order. Because there's so many gears on this record. Um, yeah, there was kind of we kind of landed on a few options basically, but yeah, I would say mountains. I think in the majority of our track listing options always ended up at the top. I think the opening of that track always felt exciting. And in fact, we've been opening some of the shows with it as well, and it just feels like a great way to begin anything. I mean, yeah, that song and that kind of riff was so potent. Just playing it in our little studio, or in a rehearsal room, it didn't need to be loud. It had power to it. So I think we felt we felt confident about that song working live. Honestly, that's actually probably a big part of the pursuit of even like finishing that song and putting it on a record, because of how confident we were that this was a live song we needed to have in our catalog. Shine in the Dark feels like it's got a little bit of the residue of the last record on it. Um, in fact, it was actually written and recorded while we were touring Typhoons. So I think in terms of like some of those fizzy those fizzier kind of tones, and I don't know, there's a kind of stickiness to it that we probably got from the record before. Um, and like you said, it's kind of it feels friends with Boilermaker as well. There's a it's probably like the most groove centric song on the record. Um, yeah, and again, something that's been just really fun to play live. So, Pull Me Through, I mean, was really written at the piano, and it was a complete song, um, in the most, like rawest form, really. Um, and we have written songs like that before, where they begin at an acoustic or at a piano, and then they're kind of transposed into bass and drums or whatever. But yeah, I guess Pull Me Through is perhaps one of the first times where the the piano felt like it was really underpinning the song, and it felt um, like an interesting part of its aesthetic. And so we used the piano really as a building block, and had kind of the bass and drums like supporting it almost. So it was a different approach than anything we've done before, because usually we would like delete the piano and go on and do that. So that was the kind of, in terms of the music, that was the kind of approach. But yeah, like playing, I find like switching between guitar, piano, drums, like whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's about um, whatever feels inspiring at the time. So if I write one song on guitar, then probably the next time I write something I like, it will be on the piano, and it's kind of always changing in that way. Um, but I think the difference with this record is that I think it felt like the songs checked out on multiple instruments. It felt like I could play all of them in different ways, and they still felt good. Um, they felt the least reliant on any kind of aesthetic. I guess my only experience so far of that is um, All We Have Is Now, which is a song that we've been playing for a couple of years now, which is literally just me and a piano. And Waves, which is the last track of this record, which we've been playing live, um, which kind of goes to a much more delicate space. And I think it, it's well received, and it's a nice part of the show. I mean, I hope this story isn't too boring, but I'll tell it. So essentially, all the bass on that track is from the demo, but we added a new section to the song. But we decided we didn't want the bass sound. We wanted it to be the same bass sound, but I couldn't remember how I did it, how I made the sound. So we spent about the best part of 2 days kind of trying to recreate the sound. I think we did a pretty good job because you can't actually tell the moment that we've added a new section. But yeah, that's the gist of it. It's a bit nerdy, sorry. This it's kind of like, again, I keep saying the word groove and I'm overly aware of it, but yeah, it feels that one is kind of just about that like groove being throughout the whole song, which is probably a theme of like the last record. But there was something kind of I don't know, like you may not hear it, but when I was kind of writing it, I was listening to a lot of New York kind of punky, much more like fast paced, like punk. Yeah, I can't describe it. That kind of garagey New York sound. Um, and I know that's probably not what it sounds like, but that's where I was coming from. And yeah, and it's also, I don't know, it also felt quite feel good, which is probably something we only started doing on the record before. You know, everything had it was a slightly more ominous or had a dark bluesiness to it, whereas this one just felt quite like feel good. Yeah, which is a um, yeah, a new addition. That kind of thing of like, if we haven't done it, if it felt like we hadn't done it before and it felt good, then that kind of green lighted most of the things on this record, and yeah, this song kind of ticked both those boxes really. Um, yeah, I know what you mean about the kind of there's something slightly like Brit pop about it, I guess. Um, I don't know. It was written at the piano and it just felt like a good song, yeah, honestly. And it didn't feel, yeah, it just everything we kind of added to it in terms of like riffs and drums, it didn't. We're very sensitive towards the song and making sure we were serving it and not masking it or kind of pummeling it in any way. So I think the final result is yeah, is that like sweet, hopefully that sweet spot. Because you know it has like a backbeat and it feels like it still feels slightly muscular, you know. But yeah, it's actually a song I really want to put in the set live. I know there's probably other tracks that fans are kind of like really wanting us to put in, but don't know. There's like some sunshine in that song that I really like and would like to kind of explore putting it in the show, but we'll see. There is a pretty clear theme, you know, across the record, you know, and this song just felt like I don't know, it felt like this kind of hybrid of like all of our records, honestly. Kind of felt like yeah, it kind of felt like everything in one. Um, and yeah, actually like was written like quite near towards the end. Yeah, and I think there's always a clarity towards the end of the process where you kind of you know the world that you're in and you know kind of yeah you're sort of you're in the final stages of putting the puzzle together, so it was very fun to write because I think we knew it, the vision was like very clear for it, we knew exactly where we wanted to go. um yeah, I think it has a good kind of energy to it. This was like the original candidate for the ending, so it's probably why it's still like in this position. But yeah, it's like one of my favorites from the record. Honestly, it kind of felt, uh, yeah, I just felt really kind of confident about it. Honestly, um, and it felt like, yeah, like new territory. It felt like we could safely say we hadn't done it before. Um, and it was just a chance to include a lot of, yeah, a lot of kind of music I grew up listening to that perhaps hasn't had the kind of space in Raw Blood songs before where I could include them, as kind of acutely as we've done on this song, Um, yeah, again, like it feels like we played it live once, and I I think it required, like, we've been playing some pretty short shows recently to in conjunction with the kind of record release, but it feels like it needs to be part of a longer show because I don't know, there's something quite sort of theatrical about it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to putting that in the set. Um, yeah. Also was the last song we wrote for the record. Um, and yeah, there's something quite not, I don't know, there's something serendipitous really about that song. It felt, um, just felt really special, like when we were writing it, and um, even when it was like unfinished, it was obvious were at the finish line, and that this was the last effort we needed to make to like complete the story of the record. And um, yeah, and I guess as well, like musically, the kind of finale of the track, it just felt like the most epic ending out of any of the songs. So yeah, it just, you just know, do you know what I mean? It's like obvious. It's obvious when you kind of get songs like that.